Just days after President Trump vowed a, quote, softer touch on immigration, on Friday, he expanded who he wants to see removed from the country.
Would you support mass deportations of people who are otherwise law-abiding?
I want to see everybody, but we're focusing on the criminals, we're focusing on killers, but ultimately, they all broke the law. Some can, if they do it in a certain way, they can go out, they can come back, if they do it properly.
Quote, we want to see everybody. It comes as the Trump administration continues its efforts to deport 5-year-old Liam Conejo Ramos and his father. On Friday, a judge denied the Trump administration bid to rush removal of the family, giving attorneys more time to argue their asylum case. An attorney for the family called the effort to expedite deportation proceedings extraordinary and possibly retaliatory. In a statement to MS Now, a DHS spokeswoman called the action regular removal proceedings and denied the removal was expedited or retaliatory. It comes days after Liam and his father returned to Minnesota. They were picked up and escorted home from a detention facility in Texas by Congressman Joaquin Castro last weekend following a court order to release them. Congressman Joaquin Castro of Texas joins us now. Congressman, welcome. And I just want us to start with Liam. And could you provide us an update on your understanding of his physical and his mental well-being at this point in time?
I mean, we've heard that he's doing much better. When I saw him in Dilley a week and a half ago, as folks saw in that photo, he didn't look very well. And his father said that he hadn't been eating, that he'd been sleeping a lot. He seemed very lethargic. He missed his mom and his classmates. And when I got he and his dad out of Dilley, after a while, he was very tentative at first, but after a while, he was in a lot better spirits and excited to get back home.
Congressman, the Marshall Project had an article this week, Why is this happening to us? Daily number of kids in ICE detention jumped 6 times under Trump. They write, it jumped more than 6-fold since the start of the second Trump administration. Congressman, you have kids. You are a brown man living in this country, and I wonder what it's like for you personally as you are going to these facilities. It sounds like you're going to continue to do that. You just went to one recently. When you're in those facilities, seeing people who could be your cousins, your aunts, your brother, your children, what is that like for you personally?
Well, I mean, it's nothing compared to what the kids and the people who are there are going through. But, you know, it's very hard mentally and emotionally. And you really see when you're there that Donald Trump is targeting the Latino community. There are folks from other parts of the world who are there, but the vast majority of folks there are brown-skinned people speaking Spanish. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, my wife and I have 3 kids, 12, 10, and 3. And it's you see people like that would live in the neighborhood that we live in or the places where I grew up and the people that I represent. And so it does feel like you're a target.
Congressman, I have so many questions for you as you are touring these detention centers. You went to Dilley last week. You went to South Texas ICE Processing Center in Purcell, Texas yesterday. But I want to get really specific with you as the former pregnant lady at the table. It stood out to me on your live yesterday when you said that you encountered a 2-month-old at one of these detention centers. I imagine some of the women that are in detention are pregnant. There's also people beyond those who are pregnant who have complained that they're not getting medication or adequate health care. What is the hospital care like at these centers? And do they even have an OBGYN on the premise in case someone goes into labor? Is there any pediatrician who's actually providing care to these infant children?
You know, well, first, when we got there yesterday to what's known as Stipsy in Pearsall, Maxine Dexter, who was also doing this inspection with me, Congresswoman from Oregon, I believe asked how many pregnant women were in the facility, and the answer was 4. They said that there were 4 pregnant women who were there at that time. And so, no, you don't have those medical services on site. They're not available on site. They have to be taken to another hospital that's down the road in Frio County. And yeah, there was a 2-month-old baby in Dilley who was in a trailer prison because that's what Dilley is. It's a trailer prison. And Stipsy and Pearsall is like an actual prison. These kids are in an actual, are actually, they're in a trailer prison. Those adults, most of whom have committed no crime at all, are in a prison. If you walk through there, it's razor wire all over in the yard. It's concrete doors. It's, or steel doors. It's concrete walls. It's all that, brown and off-white coloring. It is a prison that Donald Trump has put these people who have committed no crime. He said he was going after criminals. There's all these people that committed no crime that are sitting there in prison for months and months. And then one thing also, he talked about wanting to deport these people, but we met several people who had agreed to be deported who were still sitting there months later after agreeing to be deported and can't get the U.S. government to deport them. And so all of this is about GEO and CoreCivic making billions of dollars from this detention and private prison industry, and then Donald Trump and his incompetence cutting the number of immigration judges, firing all these immigration judges, and so the whole process is slowed up. But it's a very inhumane and disgusting system.
Congressman, you've been at the forefront of bringing the human story at a time in which the tactical, the appropriations conversation happens just down the road here up on Capitol Hill and in parallel. This upcoming week is when the Department of Homeland Security funding lapses, and your colleagues, you guys have made a list of 10 demands that you want ICE to see change, including, for example, not being able to go forward with any operation unless a judicial warrant has been given, and that there is no masking of any federal agents. Realistically, it's hard to see Republicans agreeing to all of these 10 demands. So if you look past there, if DHS funding were to lapse, how do you see DHS structurally being impacted? Is it worth it for Democrats to move forward with the shutdown of DHS, knowing that there was billions of dollars appropriated to ICE through the One Big Beautiful Bill over the course of summer to ICE that would allow them to likely continue to operate, at least to a certain extent?
Well, a few things. First, those safeguards are extremely important, but I also feel that we're essentially negotiating to get back to even, to get back to ICE and DHS just following the Constitution. And so I hope that we can get those safeguards in there, but I also feel like those should just be basic things that are not pluses for Democrats. They're basic protections for the American people. The second thing, with respect to your second question about the funding issue, in the Big Beautiful Bill, DHS got an extra $150 billion, and ICE got $75 billion. And so Donald Trump, as you all know, has taken the flexibility to move money around within departments throughout his second administration. And so, yes, nobody wants a shutdown. I don't want DHS to shut down. But the fact is, DHS as a whole, ICE and the other departments of DHS, just got an infusion of over $100 billion, extra $1 billion beyond their annual input. And so they have a lot of money in reserve for operations.